What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Full Time Fans, and today we have a very special podcast for you, one that's been in the works for quite some time, in defense of Frozen. Now, I did this with my review blogger friend, Great Gapthar's Hammer, and he lives in Australia, and I live in America, so naturally, we couldn't record it in the same place. So we tried a couple different options using Discord and other voice chat means, and there was some cutting out, and I fixed it all I could in post. But there's still some audio problems. We're just getting started on this. Hopefully ones in the future will be a little bit better. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoy the discussion. I hope you join us in the comments. And without further ado... Hey, what's up?
All good, yeah. I'm just relaxing right now.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I just came back from Mary Poppins.
Oh, how was that?
I actually enjoyed it myself. The kids loved it.
Yeah. I've never seen the original, so...
Oh, yeah. I think it is definitely one of those films where you have to watch the original to fully appreciate it.
A lot of nostalgia bombs.
Yeah, not really nostalgia. Okay, I guess for me there's nostalgia, but also certain references that are callbacks to the original film.
A lot of callbacks.
And yeah. But I've always said Mary Poppins is actually my favorite Disney film anyway. So.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like when you're watching the new Muppets movie they made, not the heist one, but the new one where they rebooted it. There's a lot of emotional scenes for me where Kermit's looking at a bunch of pictures and you see a bunch of flashbacks to the old Muppet show, and I feel the emotion is lost if you didn't watch that. I used to watch that all the time, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you're seeing him walk through the old studio, and you see all the pictures in the background of all the celebrities that were on the show and stuff. And
Mark Hamill was on there. Yeah,
that's right. I remember that episode. It was Luke Skywalker and his cousin Mark Hamill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and Kermit kicked off Mark Hamill. That's the same for me. Like, my kids like that Muppets movie, but then, but I sort of had that extra level of having watched the Muppet Show, even not in its entirety, but I had those episodes.
It's a long show.
Oh yeah, I'm just sad that I only got the first 4 seasons on TV, and they never did release the rest, which was a shame because it was the later seasons that had the Mark Hamill appearance on it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a bummer. You can find them on sketchy places, but they're definitely available.
I know that they're out there, so I can find them. I can find it at my own leisure. But yeah, it's just with work lately and stuff. Changing work time, so it's been a bit hard to watch anything these days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially with the kids when they want to watch their stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot of Peppa Pig, huh?
Oh no, it's actually it's a lot of. They've been watching a lot of Miraculous lately.
I don't know if I've heard of that.
Miraculous Ladybug.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been watching a lot of that. And I'm usually too tired to watch anything by the time I come back from work. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So speaking about kids movies, I rewatched Frozen today. I really don't get. I mean, I never have gotten the hate, but especially after rewatching it again, I definitely don't understand the hate.
Yeah, no, it's a the more. Sometimes I have to get into the hate. Like, I can understand. I think I said before, I can understand that people just don't like it.
Yeah.
But then sort of the vitriol that it gets, it's not. I don't really think it's really warrants the strong reaction that a lot of people are sort of giving it. Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to the whole, Tangled was better than Frozen or
Yeah.
whatever movies they list as better than.
I've
And
seen
I think,
some ridiculous ones too, just like listing like non sequitur movie. This movie did the impression better than Frozen. It's like, wow, yeah,
yeah,
that doesn't have anything to do with this. That's
yeah, yeah, and like all the stuff that they say, uh, or they allege that Frozen's been praised for, sort of, they've been claiming Frozen was their first movie and doing sisterly love and stuff when Lilo and Stitch did it better or something.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I've seen that a lot.
well, no one's claimed anything of the sort.
Yeah,
But I mean, look, but to be honest, it took me a while to get into Lilo and Stitch, and even then, I only like Lilo and Stitch because of the sisterly relationships. I thought, to be honest, the alien stuff kind of bored me.
well, that's interesting because I actually love that movie. But yeah, that's I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, like whenever I watch Lilo and Stitch, I just skip ahead to where it starts in Hawaii.
There you go.
I just find Lilo and Money and David as well. That especially Lilo and Money, their relationships
Oh yeah.
developed. It was a lot. It was interesting, and Lilo is sort of when Stitch sort of Lilo gets in with the other girl who insulted her about I forgot what the insult was. Is
Oh yeah.
Stitch holds Lilo back, and then she went too far, and like Stitch just let her have it. So,
yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I really didn't get, well, like watching it, well, because when I watched Frozen, I watched it like after the hype was gone, you know?
Yeah.
Like I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it like in the months after that. I saw it like totally random with somebody at the college I used to go to, and I was like, wow, that was a great movie. I didn't know there was any like hate attached to it at all, you know. So I feel like that came from an interesting perspective, kind of a non-biased thing, just looking at it for the film itself.
Yeah. Well, at that point, so you would have just caught it when it came out on home release or something.
Yeah.
Or even long after when it first got.
Yeah, a little bit longer after it was released on DVD, but
so would you say like maybe a year after theaters?
Yeah, about a year after theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I must have missed a lot of the like a lot of people being annoyed with the song "Let It Go." Like I didn't hear a lot of that, so like I didn't know it was like controversial to like Frozen. So when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, that was a good movie. Cool."
Yeah. No, I'd say the backlash didn't really hit until 3 years.
That's so random.
Two or 3 years after, mostly because that movie had legs. If not the movie itself, the brand, the brand of Frozen sort of lasted long. The legacy of Frozen lasted longer than the movie did.
Yeah.
And I think I can sort of see the frustration that some people had. But it's also, it's not like it's not like how some people say, oh, it's just Disney pushing all the merchandise out. This is like, no, this was a genuine, people demanded it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, they'll supply it.
Yeah,
it's
just like the Cars thing, It's just like the
exactly.
people, with the Cars. Oh, Cars is bad because it's a soulless corporate husk. It's like, well, maybe, as you pointed out, and I still need to do this video, the Cars video. I have it on the back burner still, and I've attempted to make it a couple times. Surprisingly, the problem is I keep trying different formats, so I make the video in different ways, and then I scrap it.
Oh, okay.
But I think I have it now, yeah.
So you found a format that you...
I think I'm gonna stick
to go ahead with.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to the KISS method. Just keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But it's like as you pointed out in that because you helped me write the script. Is that maybe just maybe a lot people wanted to buy the toys because they liked the movie. Oh, shocker.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, because people always say, "Oh, that they like the movie because they pushed out the merchandise." Well, there have been various times where companies have tried pushing merchandise, and it didn't, and it never sold. It didn't sell. It didn't ever appealed. Like, okay, let's. I'm just trying to think of an example. I think it was the Ang Lee Hulk film.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ang Lee Hulk film.
That's the 2000 one.
The 2003 one. Yeah, 2003. Yeah, the one with Eric Bana as Bruce Banner. They had Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
And the mutant poodles.
Oh yeah. The Cujo.
The Cujos.
There's some great lines in that movie.
Oh yeah,
where he talks about his heart beating. He's like,
yeah.
It's like, what? Anyway, they pushed that merchandise. I don't really remember that.
There was quite a few merchandise that they tried to push on that, and it didn't sell.
Yeah, because no one liked the movie.
I recalled most of the stuff. I think it was the Hulk fist. A lot of those were reissued, were relabeled, so to speak, when the Incredible Hulk came out, the Edward Norton film. That they were just like the Ang Lee Hulk merchandise, but just repurposed for.
That's so great.
Yeah, well, at least have to worry about it. I mean, you got like warehouses full of unsold Hulk stuff, and I'm sure a few of those made their way over to when the first Avengers film came out.
Yeah.
So it's the Avengers Hulk.
Yeah.
Smash.
Big
thing.
green fists don't really vary from Hulk to Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why waste it?
But exactly. But yeah, that didn't work. The merchandise and that didn't work. What was another film? Oh, yeah, my son's just popped in. I think it was Emoji Movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course.
Yeah, the merch on that. It sold. It sold as well as it could have. It wasn't going to be sort of. It wasn't going to be Lego Movie hypes, basically.
And how much of that is people just accidentally buying it because they just wanted to buy an emoji thing? They don't even know it's from a movie. It's like, oh, they're buying an emoji poster.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, emojis themselves are just a brand unto themselves. It's like it was before the movie came along, so that never counted. I'm just trying to really think of...
That's a good point, though. It's kind of an interesting example, because if you have a movie like the Emoji Movie, that's clearly made to push merchandise and to get people to buy it because it's a popular thing already. So, when you take Frozen's a staple of merchandising now, just like Star Wars is a staple of merchandising now, but it wasn't before. The movie was so good that it became a staple,
Yeah. It's failed merchandising. That's it. The most recent example you can think of. The last... Very few people have bought the merchandise for that film.
For what film?
The Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted a giant space cow with green milk. I wanted that toy.
Yeah. That should have been like a milk dispenser.
Yeah, get like an ice cream dispenser like that or something. That'd be great.
Yeah,
put that in Disney World.
Yeah, and then you squeeze the teeth, and then it'll just come out. It'll be it'll be colored
Greed, yeah.
green. It's like, yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh no. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah.
That would have been more interesting than the merch that showed up. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, when we talk about merchandise that failed, that's another example. But yeah, with going back to Frozen. People wanted it.
Yeah.
People just wanted it more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, going on to the movie itself. Rewatching it really brought up the Tangled versus Frozen debate for me again. And I like both films, but I like them for different reasons. They're very different.
That's right.
Tangled seems to be, it's kind of like the first them breaking out into the CGI fest, so they're kind of made it super different from every Disney princess film that had ever came out before it. It's super different.
Right.
But Frozen, well, it is one of my favorite reasons for it is that it breaks so many of the Disney tropes. It also feels very much like a return to form for them.
That's right. Well, I've always said with Frozen I've always said Frozen couldn't have existed without Tangled, but Frozen was very important to the company as a whole.
Oh yeah.
See, I think previously it's not that Tangled was the first foray into CG, but it's just that they had it was Chicken Little, The Wild.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Meet the Rock.
Oh no, Meet the Robinsons. That's a good film. Yeah. I guess I meant like the first Disney princess film. That was kind of like, when you think of Disney princess, you kind of think of the Disney Renaissance. It kind of puts you back in that mind, and that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just sort of seeing Tangled as being the first film where they sort of refined their look.
Yeah.
Because again, during that 2000s period, that 10-year period, even when they were doing CG, they were exploring what they wanted to nail down. So that's why different. So it looked. I'm not sure how to explain it. There's a visual difference between Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, and something like The Wild. But when they got Tangled down, that was sort of where they sort of said, okay, this is how we want our films to look and feel.
Yeah.
Because from there, even something like Zootopia or Big Hero 6, you can sort of see the DNA that Tangled, that sort of brings it back to Tangled.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
There's a similar DNA in it, and yeah, I really like Tangled as well.
The villain in Tangled is amazing.
Oh, Mother Gothel. Yeah, she's a brilliant villain, that one. And then Flynn Rider.
Oh yeah,
he's such he's. And of course Rapunzel is my friend prefers Tangled because it's Mandy Moore. So and he had a crush on Mandy Moore. I was like, okay, that's fair enough.
There you go.
But, yeah, and then Frozen came. I think I told you the story before when I Let It Go teaser. Where it wasn't even, they didn't even release a trailer yet. They just released that whole the Let It Go sequence. I think it was about 3 months before the movie came out. I watched the trailer, and then I just went to all my friends, because a lot of my friends, they're girls who grew up with Disney, and I saw that trailer. And it's like, and then I just shared it with them. It was like, girls, mark my words, this is going to be a very important movie. This is going to be more bigger than anyone's going to anticipate. And
That's true.
lo and behold, the movie came out as like, and the funny irony of it all was, whereas I was the one who drew attention to Frozen in my group of friends, I was the last person in my group of friends to actually finally see it. But I knew that there was a certain quality of that film. I was like, and no one's going to see this movie coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, when people sort of look back, when some people when they look back, it's like, we saw it coming, and it's like, no. That no one saw this movie coming. It was like it hit like a hurricane.
And I feel like there's something there too, because I think when something is impacts the culture in that way, it's kind of like a meme. When you have a really good meme, and then it goes all over the place because it's so great, and then people get tired of it, and then they get tired of it to the point where they think they hate it, but it's just overexposure.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, I mean, there's two reasons for. I mean, again, and this sort of goes back to the whole misconception, I think, that people have that it only lasted this long because Disney kept pushing it. It's like, no, Disney were too busy trying to push out the next film.
Yeah.
And the next film, it was the public, the 6 to 10-year-old girl that's sort of saw it for the first time, and then it caught they were the ones who, if it wasn't that great, if Frozen wasn't that great, then those girls would have forgotten Frozen by the next year. But they didn't. They kept it going and going and going. It's only now that I've found that the general public have sort of, like I don't see Frozen costumes in shops anymore. Basically,
yeah.
But
I mean, for me, I bet I could go to Walmart right now and go to the toy section. And I bet I could find something from Frozen without looking too hard. And here in America.
Oh yeah, you don't have to look hard, but it's not as sort of everywhere as it used to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, but that's just sort of saying that the interest in Frozen has just cooled down. It's not sort of, people hate it. It's just...
it's cooling down. But it still says something, because, I mean, if you, take a movie like Tangled, I mean, it's going to be a little bit harder to find something like that than Frozen. Even Wreck-It Ralph. Well, there's a new Wreck-It Ralph movie. Well, a year ago, it would have been harder to find something from Wreck-It Ralph, too. Usually merchandise doesn't have that lasting of an impact.
No, you have to have a pretty unique film to have merchandise that lasts that long. Frozen's... I mean, I believe since Frozen that... a Disney film since Frozen that has had long-lasting sort of outside of its mediums in terms of merchandise. I mean, let's see. What was the film that came out after Frozen? That was, I believe it was Big Hero 6.
Oh.
Yes, it was Big Hero 6. Was it not Big Hero 6?
It might have been.
It was Big Hero 6 being released very close to Frozen, and then but unfortunately, Frozen was still, although in a sense it helped Big Hero 6 and saying, all right, we're the public's ready and hungry for enough for Disney, but it sort of hindered Big Hero 6 because Frozen was still popular, and I see a lot of resentment from other fans. And say, I think it's okay. The two biggest fandoms, sub fandoms that have the biggest opposition to Frozen, the Tangled fandoms and the Big Hero 6 fandom.
Yeah.
Tangled because it came out before Frozen, and Big Hero 6 because it got steamrolled. You know, and some of the reasoning they try and use to I remember, I think the popular one for Big Hero 6 as to why it's better than Frozen is because well, basically the reasoning is just them comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah.
Really.
I've seen a lot of, like, you know, this did Depression better than Frozen.
Frozen, yeah, but Frozen wasn't dealing with depression. It was dealing with Tangled was better because it dealt with these things. Frozen didn't deal with these things. It's like, oh, well, you know, that's not an indication of quality. It's just that Frozen was dealing with other things.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say that one film was better just because it dealt and another film didn't.
Yeah.
You know, that's you know, that again, apples and oranges. So it's sort of there's the flaw in the. I mean, for me, it's like, why can't you just be honest and say you don't like the movie and leave it at that? You know, you don't have to find justification to, you know.
Yeah. If you don't like something,
you know,
that's fine. You don't have to like it. But, like, trying to go out of your way to say, I don't like it, and that's a fact, not an opinion. It's like, okay, wait, no, it's your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still an opinion. I mean, the amount of arguments I've had with on Disney message boards regarding Frozen, it's like, yeah, all right, you know, whatever floats your boat. It's like, oh, you're just a sucker for Frozen, and you hate everything else, Disney. You just love Frozen.
What?
I remember there was this Lilo and Stitch one. And then I was like having a go at someone was having a go at somebody at the whole sisterly love thing. It was like, yeah, but no, I wasn't trying. No, I was trying to defend. I wasn't really trying to defend Frozen. I was just trying to tell her how ridiculous her argument was. It's like, and she just comes back at me and says, "Oh, you just can't stand." And she came out first. It came out before Frozen. Okay, I'll leave you to it.
It's just straw manning. That's all it is. It's constant straw manning.
It is very straw manning. It's like, I think I've been doing this a lot recently. It's like, I want a lot of these Disney posts, you know, talking about the best Disney film, and like, it's predictably, a lot of those are like, their knowledge of Disney films don't go back to the 1990.
Yeah.
So I just go around randomly posting on these best Disney movies. So best Disney movie posts. I'll just, yeah, when your knowledge of Disney movies doesn't go beyond the 1990s.
You know, just as a film, just watching through it, you know, from the opening. To something I never noticed before is that, and you've probably noticed this because you're a little more of a, you know, defender of it than I am. But I noticed that with Elsa, it's all about don't let them in, you know. But with Anna, she wants to let everyone in, so it has kind of a character arc going on there where they both have different flaws, you know.
Yeah. So I've seen sort of various commentaries regarding Elsa and Anna, and they all seem to center on Elsa and how the sisters dealt with their parents' death, pretty much.
Yeah.
With Elsa being very closed off, and Anna sort of bursting at the seams to sort of, you know, he's desperate for a human connection, basically.
Yeah.
And so you get the polar opposite reaction, personalities, and then just trying to deal with this one day. Like for Anna, it's like she only has one day to go out and look, you know, be with people, and Elsa's got one day that she has to put up and just go back into a solitude. But yeah, it's sort of the idea that both of their reasonings, or both of their approach are not necessarily the right one. I think they were just two extremes of the one issue. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. Because they're both a little right and they're both a little wrong, and they need to kind of meet in the middle. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people miss when they are like saying, well, Big Hero 6 did this better or something like that. It's like they didn't do it better, they did it differently. So I did take a few notes while I was watching the movie. So that was one thing, like you were saying just a second ago, they did it differently. Each of the three movies that people mainly compare it to, they all did it differently. Let's see, one of the things, this is just nothing to do with like the movie and being better or whatever, but there's a joke in there that I really, really like, because for the longest time I was living in Wisconsin, and there's a lot of people of Norwegian descent, and there's always a joke thrown around that in Norway, they're really obsessed with whether to stack wood with the bark up or the bark down.
Bark down, yeah.
And they make a reference to that in the movie, and so that made me laugh. I really like that.
What is the whole bark up, bark down thing?
Well, and in the movie they kind of say it. It's like, if you put the bark down, the wood stays drier, and then the other guy retorts with something, but I don't remember. But I remember that in Norway, they had a 24-hour TV show that ran this one day, and it was all about that subject of how to chop wood, and apparently, like, it's a huge thing there. And at a certain point after the documentary, informative portion was over, where they discussed the topic, it was just the rest of it was just a streamed fireplace, and apparently, like, people were on the Facebook and stuff where it was being live streamed. They're like, oh, they should put another log on that fire, and they were like, continued the debate about it all the way through the night. I'm like, that is so crazy.
Oh wow. Yeah, well, I had a feeling that the whole bark up, bark down thing was a specific reference to that culture. I just had no idea. Like, okay, maybe it's when I heard the joke, when I heard that the dialogue, okay, maybe that's just something that they argue over there. I didn't really look into that. So I didn't really understand.
I didn't really look into it either. I was just exposed to it. Just like the lutefisk thing. That's another big Norwegian thing, is the lutefisk.
The lutefisk. And that is...
Okay. So lutefisk is this fish, and it's preserved in rye. Here, let me actually look up let me just look up what Google pulls up, because it's definitely something to behold. Okay, Wikipedia. Here we go. So lutefisk. Lutefisk is dried whitefish, normally cod, treated with lye. Yeah. The first step is soaking the stockfish in cold water for 5 to 6 days. The saturated stockfish is then soaked in an unchanged solution of cold water and lye for an additional 2 days. The fish swells during the soaking, and its protein content decreases more than 50%, producing a jelly-like consistency. When the treatment is finished, the fish, saturated with lye, is caustic with a pH of 11 to 12. To make the fish edible, a final treatment of another 4 to 6 days of soaking in cold water is needed. Eventually, the lutefisk is ready to be cooked. So, delicious.
Okay, I'm not big on the fish myself. So.
Especially when it's been soaked in cold water and lye for so long that its pH level makes it no longer edible, so you have to soak it again.
Soak it again.
Yeah, so it's kind of a little joke when he's like, lutefisk, and he puts like a little jar up on the counter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of Norwegian jokes in there.
Yeah. Oh, that was that. What's his name? The Shack.
Yeah.
When Anna wants some clothes.
Some will blow up. Swimsuits.
Yeah.
The lotion that I made myself. It's so great.
Yeah. That walk Anna does when like her dress is all frozen.
Oh yeah.
Stiff. You see that waddle she does towards the hut. It's just. I credit to the animators.
Oh yeah.
I love everything about the animation about Anna. I just love when she's sleeping and she's chewing on her hair.
Yeah.
And she wakes up. I just love the way that she's been animated in that film.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to bring up about the hair. I actually wrote that down because that kind of I forgot about that, and it's the scene before that. It's like, I wonder how the princesses look. They're probably so beautiful, and then it cuts directly to that scene where she's sleeping.
Yeah, that was. I think when they the old comic timing. It was like when they were doing the storyboard. It was like, oh, what if we, have them say this, and then the next shot is her, being very rather unelegant.
Yeah, but I think that's another thing to the film's credit is, well, it feels very much like it kind of harkens back to the Disney Renaissance more than the previous CG films they kind of did. It also breaks a lot of the tropes. I mean, also, we have acknowledged that sisterly love has been a thing, but not, again, it's apples to oranges because, the whole idea of true love's kiss in, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and all that stuff is very important, and this film is like, well, what if that was done in a different way, instead of
what if it was just an act of truth? The act wasn't necessarily a kiss. It could be any kind of act.
Yeah. That
could show true love. And this was, Anna sacrificing herself. What greater act of love is there than self-sacrifice? I mean, She. I mean, and plus Anna had the chance to go over to kiss Kristoff. But there was no guarantee that would have worked either.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what really struck me, was when Olaf is explaining to her what love is, and she's like, I don't even know what love is anymore. And he's like, oh, well, that's easy. It's just, doing something for someone else, more than yourself, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And he said, some people are worth melting for, which, if you don't cry at that, you don't have a soul, okay?
Well, do you think probably Olaf was the one that planted that in her mind?
Oh, yeah.
Whether she realized it or not, when she saw Olaf lighting up that fire, even though that fire would melt him, she could see that Olaf was willing to sacrifice himself for somebody that he cared for, even not necessarily loved.
Yeah.
But he was showing there an act of true love as well. Although, so I'm guessing when she saw Olaf do that, something about that act must have stayed with her. And when she saw Hans trying to kill Elsa, it's like, she's like, I'd rather die than anyone kill my sister. That's how much she loved Elsa.
Yeah.
And then there was that twist in the trope, so to speak.
Yeah.
But this was still an act of true love, but it wasn't the traditional true love's kiss.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to be a kiss. And showed that love wasn't necessarily restricted as a sort of and this is curse the weird shippers out there, the sort of that love is not necessarily a romantic kind of love. This is again sisterly love.
Yeah.
and for those bloody Elsa and Anna shippers out there.
It's funny you bring that up because I'm actually making a video about like basically, you know, in it I say, you know, if you think two people being together would help a narrative, you're more than happy to make that argument to me, unless it involves like sisters or Miles and Peter from the Spider-Verse being together. You don't get to make that argument. That is messed up. Okay.
No, it's like I know. It's like
he's like 15,
I don't,
and the other guy's like 40. 40.
Yeah.
We're like, no.
Look, I mean, you know, I have relatively traditional views in relationships, but in the end, as long as the overall story, you know, justifies the existence of a relationship, that's fine. But when you get, but when you get to those weird shippers of like, the Full Metal Alchemist ones, they're the worst. Oh the Alphonse and Ed, say no more. I've been in arguments with girls who are like, oh, Alphonse and Ed make a good couple. It's like, you sicko.
That's kind of an interesting point, because if you're shipping Anna and Elsa, then I feel like you missed the point of the movie. It's like,
I know.
Watching it? Because it's kind of the point, is that it doesn't need to be a kiss, it doesn't need to be romantic.
Yeah, it was just, you know, an act of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say I've seen enough Rule 34 and stat stuff in my life.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but anyway, I also like the idea of the, speaking about trope smashing, is, the, you know, true love, the love at first sight kind of thing that Anna goes through because she's too trusting. Like you said, she wants to make a human connection. And they call that out. You know, if you were watching the movie for the first time, you would be like, "Oh, this is a Disney movie. I know exactly where this is going." You know, they're gonna fall in love and so like that. But it's like, no, that's not what happens.
Yeah. But then there's the flip side of the argument. Is like, oh, why was Anna so stupid to fall in love that quickly? And like, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, that is the point.
That's the point.
And that's why I feel like a lot of people are still hating it. They don't bother. You know, it's like we live in the culture of like cinema sins and stuff like that. And while cinema sins can be funny, there are a lot of times they make stupid points. And they make stupid points so much that they're looking for negatives and they don't look for the positives. Like, you know,
that's right.
You see the juxtaposition of these characters, you know, one is too shut out and one is too eager to let people in. And you totally miss that if you're not looking to the point where like, well, why would she get married like so soon? It's like, that's the point, dude. You missed it.
Yeah, that's the point they're trying to bring up. I mean, cinema sins even admitted themselves that, you know, a lot of the time they're just doing nitpicking just for the sake of comedy.
Yeah, and that's fine, but it's also people don't get that. You know?
Yeah.
And they kind of take that attitude upon themselves, not realizing, oh, this is like satire, you know? And they take that attitude with them into serious critical arguments, and it just...
Well, even before the age of cinema sins, there was always the... whenever you'd watch a movie, and then there's always this one guy who thinks he's found the plot hole. I'm just, those guys are annoying, you know, and they exclaim it in a way as like, you know, oh, they were like the first, you know, it's not that them finding the plot hole is annoying, is that they think that they're the first to find out.
Yeah.
Because they always act like they're the first to find the plot
Iron
hole.
Man just shoots Thanos with his laser, huh?
Like, you know, what, you know, and, those
it's so crazy.
But yeah, no, it's like sometimes when you become, I just feel like some people just really want to get that over analytical and sort of not let that suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Because then you can sort of go back at them and I think it was. I remember it was a comedian. She was talking about when her and her girlfriend were watching Charlie's Angels, and there was a scene where Cameron Diaz's character, they're in a tugboat or something, and she reckons she can modify the engines to make it go faster. And then the comedian goes to her girlfriend and goes, it's impossible for her to do that. She can't, because, and then she goes, why it's impossible, mechanically impossible for a tugboat to go any faster. And her girlfriend goes to her, what, hang on a second. You just watch Lucy Liu do a cartwheel through a gate, a Formula One car just fly off a bridge and no one get injured, and this is your issue.
yeah, no, for real. I mean, that's like the biggest thing that people don't get. Like, I'm a huge fan of the movie series like Now You See Me, and I heard a lot of people saying like, oh well, you really think hypnotism works that way? You just say sleep and you're that good at it. I'm like, no, but it's a movie about magicians robbing banks. You're really concerned about the accuracy of the magic.
Yeah. I mean, for me, as long as they set up the rules reasonably well, of the film, like they establish the rules and then work within those rules, then I'm fine.
Exactly, and they do, because you see multiple examples. It's not just like they go up to the bad guy and say sleep, and then it happens. There's multiple like training sequences and like two people like learning how to do it. So you get the rules established in the film. It's not something where it's just like they made a rule and then they broke it. It's like because
that's right. Yeah.
Which, as much as I like Doctor Who, they tend to do that sometimes. If there's one thing that, with a show as long a history as that, you can sort of forgive Doctor Who for breaking and rewriting their own rules. That's why they have the catchphrase wibbly wobbly.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's all wibbly wobbly, and so you can sort of forgive them for that. But then you got the other. Let's get back to Frozen. Yeah, because I think we're going back on.
We're going off on a tangent. Sometimes the best podcasts go off on tangents, though. You're over there in Australia, which if no one could tell listening, I mean, do you have ears? But the Weekly Planet is one that I really like with Mr. Sunday and Nick Mason. I don't know if you ever listened to them.
I've heard of Mr. Sunday.
Yeah, Mr. Sunday.
Mr. Sunday movies.
Yeah, they have a podcast called The Weekly Planet. It's great, but they don't stay on topic a lot. What did I write down here?
I just realized you just switched over to the new year.
Oh, yeah, I did. Well, actually, I just switched over to the new year 40 minutes ago. So, Happy New Year to me.
That's right. Happy New Year to you.
Look at that.
I actually specifically timed the podcast so we'd be talking over to the new year.
Yeah, so look at that. Boom. I suppose is it already the new year for you? It's probably been...
Oh, yeah. Well, it's already like 5:40 in the afternoon now. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we already had our big fireworks and whatnot.
Nice.
I was too sleepy, so I just slept through the fireworks.
Yeah, for sure. My cat didn't much like the fireworks at all.
Oh yeah, we always have a big problem with fireworks over here with pets running around, especially the fireworks that people light up in the streets.
Yeah,
they scare a lot of the pets. But anyways, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What else did I write down here? Another. Okay, here's another thing that I've heard once upon a time. I don't remember specifically where. Is that they're like, well, Elsa's parents, they're terrible parents because they tell her just to shut herself down, and I'm like, yeah, again, that's the point. You figured it out.
Yeah, well, let's just say, and I'm speaking as a parent myself.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's always easy for somebody else to criticize our parents' methods when they're not they're not the ones experiencing the specific circumstances they're in. See, speaking from a parenting perspective, sure they did a bad job, but who else could they go? There was no one else there they could really talk to because, Elsa's, condition was very unique.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if not very rare.
Yeah.
And so it's not like they could seek out other people who've had children who've had ice powers.
Yeah, I think it was how it should have ended that made the joke that they should have took her to the Xavier School for the Gifted.
School, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was no Charles Xavier.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna count the Once Upon a Time thing as canon, where I think they said it was Elsa's auntie who had the same ice powers. It was sort of established in Once Upon a Time, but that's like a bizarro thing anyway.
Yeah.
But so they just do. Sometimes a lot of the time, the thing that you need to do right now is usually the best thing you can do. At that time, because. And again, they didn't foresee that they would die.
Yeah.
They would have thought, okay, we'll go on this trip, and then when we get back, we'll help raise Elsa. The You Want to Build a Snowman is like a 4-minute sequence, 3 or 4 minute sequence that takes place over 10 years.
Yeah.
You'd assume that there would have been. Within those 10 years, that Elsa's parents would have taught her other things on how, not just how to hide her powers and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
and then they didn't foresee that they would end up dying in a shipwreck.
Yeah, of course.
Because and I think that's sort of what devastates Elsa is that. Her parents had been there for so long to help her along, and okay, sure, if her parents weren't killed and Elsa was still anxious, at least her parents would have been there by her side. But now that her parents are gone, it's sort of like her training's left unfinished kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's got, she's barely started understanding her powers. And the only people who were with her 24/7, at least trying to, to handle those powers.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't going too well, at least they were there.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you do? Because you just continue to do what they taught you. There was nothing else. You don't know what else to do. So she just stays locked away in her room. I mean, she could have, left, but she didn't feel confident enough in herself, don't let them see, don't let them know, and those are the only lessons she was left with, for better or worse, and so she kind of just goes with that. And same with Anna, one of the complaints I had while rewatching the movie that was quickly dismissed was, I was like, why does Anna just, she's not trapped here, she can go and have a life of her own, and she's, Anna says, I can't live like this, and Elsa says, well then leave, and you realize, oh, she's kind of stuck in the same place as Elsa,
That's right, yeah. I mean, in the same place, but
in the same way.
Sort of the other side of the coin, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. She's not leaving because the castle is all she knows, and she wants to look out for Elsa. She's an orphan and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting with that. Also, what I was gonna say is that her parents were obviously royalty, and as good as they wanted her to be parents, it kind of seemed like the movie was portraying where she's looking at the painting of her father, when she's preparing for the coronation. That they really wanted her to be first and foremost, a princess and then a queen, rather than focusing on her being a daughter, and saying, oh, we're going to help you be who you can be with these powers, and these can be a great thing. That's what the trolls are kind of saying. These powers can be a beautiful thing, but they also can be very dangerous. And the parents kind of only focus like, oh, we're royalty, we don't get a bad name for ourselves, only focus on, hiding them, because there is the potential for danger. And, it's kind of like when you shut a kid in, I know as a kid, I was, pretty shut in. Whenever the kid gets out on their own, it might turn into dire consequences because they're going to kind of rebel, and say, well, I'm going to be who I want to be far away from you, because I feel you're holding me back.
That's always the risk that a lot of parents, I mean, I've seen it myself as well, where, like, the parents have the kids shut in for so long, and then, the moment of freedom comes, and it's like, so long, I'm going to live my life. With Elsa and Anna, they were in that, at this point of the film, they are in that situation. But now what was I going to say?
You have the Elsa rebelling, and then you have Anna, who, on the flip side of the coin, is she doesn't have to deal with the burden that she feels she can't be who she wants to be, but she does have to deal with the human connection thing. So she falls for someone way too quick. Where as someone who might have been exposed to the outside world, and the film doesn't focus on how the parents raised Anna as much, but
that's right.
You kind of get the idea that Elsa was focused on more, because she says, "Oh, whenever the Hans bumps into her, he says, I didn't mean to, trip the princess in, our first meeting her," and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm just me, if it would have been my sister, that would have been something else." So you kind of get the idea that maybe she wasn't focused on as, a lot. So she has that want for a human connection. So it's kind of like, it's kind of interesting, kind of this, you got the sins of the parents, and the consequences going on too.
Well, it's obvious that even with Elsa having these powers, they were still raising Elsa to be queen.
Oh yeah.
That would have still been their intention. So it's not. So even if Elsa never had those powers, there still would have been a bit of a disconnect anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just because although I mean there would have been a bit more socializing and stuff, but there's still that Elsa would have that sort of sense of duty drilled into her.
Yeah, that's true.
It sort of reminds me. I just finished watching the 2 seasons of The Crown. I love that show.
That has one of the doctors in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, Matt Smith plays Prince Philip.
Ooh, that...
And so he plays the Queen's husband. And Claire Foy as Queen Elizabeth she's amazing. And so that sort of deals with the first 2 seasons. Sort of deal with her becoming the Queen. Well, no, the first season deals with her taking over her father after her father passed away, and I found it interesting because just sort of drawing that connection there, where once Elizabeth's father died, everything changed for her. Like she was now, the head of the Church of England. She was the queen. She was the Queen of the Commonwealth. Everything changed. Like, there were all these new rules that she had to follow. Her husband. Her husband wasn't sort of the head of the household, so to speak, anymore. She had more power. She had power over him. And even like I always remember that the episode where she returned to England after her father died. So at the end of the episode, it was her grandmother, Queen. I think it was Queen Mary or something. Yeah, her grandmother. Basically in a funeral dress, and she's kneeling at the feet of her own granddaughter, and then you just sort of see this look on Elizabeth's face, and just sort of soaking it in. It's like, holy crap, I'm the queen now. So there's sort of this. It's like she's been raised to be a queen, but you know, when it comes to that point, it's still not something she's prepared for. And I see the similar thing with Elsa. She would have been raised to be a queen all her life, but you know, coronation day comes, and her parents aren't there. She's only got her sister there. You know, this would have been, there's already so much on her mind right now. You know, she has been raised for this moment in her life, and yet she still has so many things that are, I mean, not to mention her ice powers, there's still so many things that she's dealing with that, you know, when she snaps an Anna, it just sort of, everything just sort of goes to hell, basically.
Yeah.
You know, it's all the tension in her mind is just, you know, coming out in ways that, you know, she never dreamed of. You know?
Yeah, I think that's the mark of a good film too. Is when, you know, when you look at a movie like Jaws, for example, just a random film. You know, first thing you think, big shark, but it's actually, you know, a character-driven story. You know, about someone who's coming to a new town and trying to, you know, fit in. You know, there's all these character moments in there that when you take away the big shark, you still have a compelling character story. And I really like that you brought that up, because I didn't even think about that before. Even if you take away Elsa's ice powers and remove that from the film entirely, you would still have a great, you know, drama about, you know, about the two sisters. It would just been
a good family drama.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the mark. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. They're so focused on criticizing this that they don't see all these cool things that the film's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. I really have never thought about that before.
Yeah, well, you know, as always with a lot of these, as always with a lot of these films that have fantastical elements in it, the fantastical parts, they're just sort of, I wouldn't say the things that drive the plot along. Well, they're sort of, they're elements of the plot, but they're not the main focus.
Yeah.
So, if they had made Elsa's ice powers the main focus of the film, that would have been a huge narrative mistake.
Yeah.
But it's just that that Elsa's ice powers were, excuse me while I take a drink. Elsa's ice powers were, how can I say this? Like, if you didn't have her ice powers there, there would still be sort of the emotion and the drama that this would have had on her anyway. You know, you take away the ice, you still have the story.
Yeah.
But if you made the focus of the story the ice, you know, you sort of put all your bets on that aspect, and then you sort of put that's the sort of it's sort of the issue that a lot of well, I'd say animated, like some animated movies recently, but a lot of recent movies are sort of, they have the gimmick, they'll come up with the gimmick for, emoji movies.
Yeah.
Emoji movies. So they come up with the gimmick first.
Yeah.
And then try and build a narrative around that.
Yeah, and that...
But it sort of falls apart.
Yeah, exactly.
It sort of falls apart.
Even I would go so far to use the example, which I haven't seen this film, but I've seen a lot of people analyzing it, Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, which Wreck-It Ralph 1 was an amazing character-driven story, even if you took out the video game elements. But Wreck-It Ralph 2 seems to be Disney saying, hey, look, we have so much, you know, of the internet under our control. We can make all these references. This would be fun and cool to do this. And I guess we can try to, you know, do a thing where we subvert the, you know, the two characters, and they just basically learn what they learned in the last movie over again, which is, you know, something that sequels fall prey to. It seems more of like putting the gimmick before the narrative in that film.
That's right. Yeah, well, I don't know when be able to get the time to watch Wreck-It Ralph, the sequel. Probably. It comes out in February for me on home release, so I won't have too long to wait. That's the thing. All of a lot of these movies, I don't get to watch them until they come out on home release.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. Which is a bit sad because I've got a movie theater just across the road from where I live.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But when the tickets are a bit, I think they're usually like $15 pop.
Oh man, yeah.
So it's not exactly money I can go spending. I mean, there's a cheaper cinema down the road. It's only like $7 a ticket, but that place just gets filled insanely. Like,
I bet.
If it's like it's like we tried watching Black Panther, and this was in the second week.
Oh.
It got released. That theater was still full.
Oh my goodness.
So we just ended up going to the one closer to my place. Yeah. At least it's assigned seating, so you can pick your seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one other. So it got me thinking regarding the future of Frozen. How we got it now. We have a Frozen sequel coming out very soon. I don't know if it's this year or next year.
Yeah.
And see, I've had this theory. Well, I call it the bathtub theory of backlash. So when a movie reaches its peak, when certain movies reach a peak, then it drops into this bathtub of backlash. So the other big example of movie backlash would be James Cameron's Avatar. That reached quite some popularity, and all of a sudden, just dropped down into this valley of backlash. The film's overrated. It's Dances with Wolves in space and whatnot. But then over time, once the backlash comes back up and peters out, it's like, okay, it's not too bad of a film. I've got a feeling Frozen is still going to has a bit of backlash against it, based on the reception of Olaf's Frozen Adventure, where they then had to start taking it off the front of Coco, because it wasn't just we didn't like it. It's like, why are you putting this? Get rid of this. We didn't come here to watch another Frozen thing. It's like public reception to Frozen at this point is still a bit unintended frosty, but there is also the Frozen Broadway musical that's coming up. Now, I'm gonna watch it regardless. I don't care what people say. I've seen the Mary Poppins musical, which I absolutely love, and the Lion King musical is incredible. I've heard the Lion King is incredible. Those two music. Oh no! I personally, I prefer the stage musical over the film.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
I just love I love the pup. Yeah, I love I reckon the music's apart from the original songs, and funny enough, they've taken one and inserted it into the Lion King musical. I think it's the opening song for Simba's Pride. He Lives in Me.
Yeah.
They had Mufasa sing that to Simba.
Yeah, they added that into the Blu-ray, I think.
Yeah, and that was a pretty cool. That was a pretty cool sequence. That. And I just love the puppetry and just hearing like those drum beats while you're in the theater.
Oh, I bet.
Especially like at the end of Circle of Life, when that last drum beat the body, that's just so chilling. But yeah, if you get a chance, in Wisconsin. So yeah, if Mary Poppins
I'm in Nebraska now, actually.
Nebraska.
Well, Omaha though, but it's it's more of a city, so.
Okay. Sure. But if either of those productions come into Omaha, the cost is worth it.
Yeah, I've
the
heard
cost is worth the price of admission.
it's definitely on my list. Yeah. The two stage productions that are really on my list is the Newsies and the Lion King.
Yeah,
are the two that I really want to see. But actually, Frozen 2 had a leak recently. Nothing too major. Just a piece of Russian merchandise with the words. I'm assuming it just says Frozen 2. I can't read Russian, but it seems like there's the numeral 2 on there. And interestingly enough, though, it shows Anna and Elsa in the fall.
Okay.
So I don't know what that's about, but.
All right. Well, I'll wait for official.
Yeah. Don't want to jump
I'm not one for leaked reports or anything like that.
Yeah, you don't want to go too crazy, because then down the line you kind of seem kind of foolish, you know.
Yeah. Hey. Remember when we all thought that Luke Skywalker was Kylo Ren?
Yeah.
It was like, and even back then, I knew Kylo Ren was a new character.
Yeah.
Put in a mask,
Yeah.
It's like, but they have pictures of the actor without the mask on. Oh no, he's just a stunt double. It's like, what would you take a really nice picture of a stunt double for? It's like, all those guys. I don't tend to pay too much attention to leaks like that, but
for sure.
Yeah, Frozen. But here's the thing. I reckon a good indication of, I don't know if it's a good strategy to bring interest in Frozen back is to do a tour of the Frozen stage.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of the Good Morning America segments of it. I like the girls that they use for Anna and Elsa. I reckon they'll cast very well, and especially and of course the Let It Go sequence on stage when do like an ice costume. That was great.
Oh, wow.
And
I'll have to look some of these up. I'll probably be putting some of these in post right now.
No, but I reckon if Disney want to generate interest back or win back the goodwill of the public, it'd be very smart of them to do a tour of the Broadway stage show.
For sure, yeah.
Because that looks like it's pretty good, and if it is as good as I think it is, then I reckon the public will generate a bit more interest in Frozen.
Yeah.
Or and then once Disney announce some more information about Frozen 2, like say for example the release date.
Yeah.
It's like, oh okay,
we do know
I had
the
a good
year,
time watching
2019.
Frozen 2. Oh yeah. Oh, it is 2019.
It is 2019. Yep, I just looked it up.
Oh wow!
So it's coming soon.
Oh, it's going to be very interesting.
What
other Disney movies are coming out this year?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm always scared for sequels because I think the only example of off the top of my head that I can think of a sequel that I really liked for Disney was Finding Dory. I really, really liked Finding Dory, but Cars,
that was great.
Yeah, but Cars 2, didn't really care for that one too much. Incredibles 2 even, I like it, but I can even admit that it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Yeah, although there were a lot of moments in Incredibles 2 I did love.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I still can't get over the whole Violet squirting nose out of the water out of her nose.
That's become such a meme now.
Yeah, I know.
I love that. Yeah, there was a lot of good moments in Incredibles 2.
Yeah, but yeah, I can understand. I mean, I enjoyed it very much, but yeah, I can understand why people. But yeah, you're right about Finding Dory. That was like, and I found it very strange. People questioning, oh, Dory was only a supporting character in Finding Nemo. How can she do her own movie? So no, she's not. She wasn't made up. She wasn't, the guy with, the funny lines and the funny behaviour and stuff. She helped drive the plot along in that original movie. So naturally, the character already had enough of a personality and an interesting enough story about her to carry her own movie. And it was Ed O'Neill as the octopus. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't like the look of him, but I like that octopus. It was so funny.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So in 2019, we had, speaking of sequels, that we got Toy Story 4, which I'm not excited about.
I awaited with cautious optimism, as I usually say. With a project like that, I was like, okay, I'll give it a look.
Out of all the Disney movies, to me, Toy Story means the most to me. It's what I watched in theaters growing up. I had such a connection to the characters, and when I watched Toy Story 3, I remember when when you have the pit scene, they're all going down into the furnace or whatever, and they all hold hands. I was like, I was like in high school, and I was like, if they die, I am going to cry right here. I do not care. And my buddies were all laughing at me. They're like, I'm like, no, you don't understand.
I started welling up at that scene. It was like, holy crap, this might be it.
Yeah.
This is the ending. But
the actual ending they gave us was actually so much better.
That was a perfect ending. It was like, there's very few like films or film trilogies where like they ended in such a perfect way. It's like you're completely satisfied. Like Toy Story did that for me, and
which is why I get 4. Why do 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think 4 would have been a bit more acceptable if it was one of those specials that they were doing. Like I like that one where there was that one. I think it was the Halloween. I think it was a Halloween special where they end up at a motel and like Jesse's sort of they meet up with the combat car, and that was a funny one because the motel owner was stealing all the Woody's like really valuable. Like, but that was like a nice half hour. I don't mind short.
Yeah, or like the Toy Story that time forgot, or
Yeah, and the Hawaiian Vacation, that was funny.
Yeah, those are fine. I don't mind those, but actual another movie. I feel like if you want to do more Toy Story, just make it something in that vein. Yeah,
just do the shorts.
Yeah. I don't get, but apparently John. I think it was John Lasseter. I don't want to misquote anyone here, but he was just like, I feel like I have another story to tell, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, then there's a lot of the reactions from the actors, from Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, getting very emotional about. I mean, okay, it could just be them sort of spinning PR for the film, but at the same time, these are characters that are been part of their lives for so long, so I don't think they'd be faking that much emotion for something that's been a part of their lives. Yeah, it's like I think it was Tom Hanks is like he went into the reading and he did his last line and he said he found it difficult to look at the sound booth guys because he was just sort of emotionally draining on him, and even
maybe
Tim
this
Allen
is the last one.
So, look, I'm just going to go watch it regardless. And to be honest, I don't really have any strong feelings either for or against it. but I can understand the strong feelings that people have against it. But, you know, I hope that, you know, if this is actually a good film, that people will give it the credit that it deserves.
Yeah, of course.
And not just sort of, you know, not just sort of, you know, if it turns out pretty bad, then, you know, then it deserves the hatred that it gets. But if it turns out to be a good movie, I'm not going to have people just crap on it just because, oh, you know, they shouldn't have made another movie. So, yeah, but it was still good. So
yeah, we don't want to make a Toy Story 4 the second Frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple years from now, we'll be doing a podcast about how defending Toy Story 4.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who knows?
Although there's still a lot of more goodwill towards Toy Story than there is Frozen.
That is true. Yeah,
but,
that is true.
Yeah, but with Frozen, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see
how the second one does.
If the public is well and truly over it or not.
Yeah.
Because it has been quite a few years since Frozen. Some have even argued they should have gotten that sequel out, you know, the 2 years after it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I said, it's a wait and see. I mean, look, when the tickets get released, I'll be there in the first or second week with my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, my daughter's over it now, but you know she'll go watch it, and same with my wife and my son. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I've never really felt. For me, Toy Story. I'm sorry. Frozen 2 could be worse. It could be not as good as the first movie, but I don't. It'll have to do a lot to really put me off the brand. Like you'd have to do like, you know, Ryan Johnson levels of
We just wanted to subvert your expectations.
Expectations, yeah.
It comes out. It's called Summer.
Yeah, and we'll leave Ryan Johnson for another time.
Yeah, for sure. To wrap this up, because we actually do need to wrap this up. I'm gonna have a lot of editing
I was thinking about that too.
I wanted to bring in one last thing. Speaking about endings, and here's my one criticism of the film. Yeah. I wanted a song for the third act. Especially watching it the second time. And I saw a post, and I always have loved this post, and the idea is to reprise Do You Want to Build a Snowman and have Elsa sing, yes, I want to build a snowman, and yes, I want to do this and this, you know.
Yeah,
and then
but now she's got... Yeah, I saw that post. It's like, yes, that... I've noticed... It's so strange. I found it very odd. Yeah, like you said, there should have been a song in that third act, or at least like you know, a finale song.
Yeah.
You know, to wrap up the film, but it just I don't know what the decision behind that was, but
if you have
it just felt
a
so
song,
weird.
You know, cut the Fixer Upper song. You know, to add a third act song. I mean, you gotta.
Yeah, I mean, the Fixer Upper song was a bit of. But yeah, I reckon of all the options they could have done, that reprisal that's been going around that people have mentioned about Elsa singing it to Anna after she you know freezes, or after she dies, pretty much. You know, that would have been the perfect way to sort of bookend the. Thematically bookend the film.
Yeah, and it would also do a lot for the character too.
Yeah, because then that sort of then you see Elsa. I mean, the moment that she embraces Anna after she dies, you know, you can sort of get an indication.
Oh yeah, of course.
That she has this remorse and stuff, but. I reckon because, you know, you're pitching this as a musical. Like a return, you know, this is your musical after Tangled, after so many years of being mocked for being, the princess movies with all the singing and dancing and stuff. This is like the movie that says, no, screw you. We're proud of our legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This is what made us great. Let's go back to this. We should be proud of our musical roots, and it just felt so weird and empty that song.
Yeah. It did feel weird and empty that there was no song.
But yeah, that's that. If they didn't do that, they could have they could have even just had a reprisal of For the First Time in Forever at the end.
Yeah.
Instead, like when they're ice skating around the castle or something, they could have had the two sisters singing For the First Time in Forever. They finally made the connections that made their connection that been for years. It's that could have been another thing that could have done.
That's a really good point.
That's just how they. That's how they. That's how they decide to end it. So, more right, but
all right.
So that's pretty much all I have to say about
same.
Defending Frozen. That I can think of anyway.
In defense of Frozen, it's a good movie. Stop.
In defense of Frozen, it's not it doesn't deserve the hate that people give it. Save that energy for something else.
Yeah. Stop being
like
a hipster.
Emoji movies.
Okay, yeah. Stop being a hipster. Okay? Stop being a hipster.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That's pretty much what it boils down to. You just don't like it because you had to hear your daughter sing. Yeah. All right, well, hopefully we should do this again sometime.
You don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the discussion. Again, sorry about any audio cuts and anything like that. Hopefully we get better in the next one. Have a discussion in the comments below about if you like Frozen or if you hate Frozen. Keep it civil, and let's just talk about this. And again, we're your friends, not your boss. Thanks for watching. See you next time.